10 minutes at least with the hand crank. I don't know if it's because I rebuilt the blades on this one a little bigger than I think they originally were or what, but the feet per minute of air coming out of this blower is ridiculous. I can almost never put it all the way up on level 5. I normally have it on the very first setting with my air gate, and that's almost too much at times. Got a good bed going. Crank it up one more time now that I got my fire spread out. That'll really get me cooking. More than good to start with. Back down on 1. Close the gate. Probably 80% of the way. What I wanted to start with today is just some quick S-hooks. Did 3 dozen of them the other day and put some photos up. So today I'd do a quick demo of how I do it. Made a quick little jig. And just a couple pieces of pipe welded to a little hardy stock, and this here is my hold down, so when I put the start of my S-hook it grips, and then I can wrap around. Now you'd think that it'd come right back around this way, but unless I'm using the exact right length of stock and I get the whole piece hot, that tends to just be a pain in the butt. So what I do is I start and I do one curl, throw it back in the fire, bring it out and do the other curl. And that way it's a little quicker, I think. You're not fumbling with it, trying to keep it all hot all at once, and you can kind of do a batch that way and kind of get in the rhythm of things. Anyway, for this size, I think these were 1-inch pieces of pipe. Give me a decent sized loop. I start with 1/4 inch stock, 7 inches, and then I taper each side, do a curl, and then put them through. And I'll show you as I go. Start out, tape measure, 1/4 inch, got just a little bit left here. It's actually 15 inches long. I like to do this the easy way, which is metal shear. I don't have to cut anything, make a mess, whatever. Shear, break it off. Now we're at 14. So hold my thumb here at 7. As long as I want it. All this is, I'll move the camera later, take some photos if you need. It's just 2 pieces of standard blacksmith farrier shear. 3/8, 5/16, and 1/4 inch. Doing it this way, I can just chunk out, a couple dozen at a time, not having to saw anything or grind anything. Pretty decent little clean cuts. These 2 hammers, one to curl my tapers, and then the 3.5 to form the tapers. Tongs for these are 1/4 inch with actually a round 1/4 inch bit. I'd like to make another section square, but these work just fine. Whatever you got handy. Go ahead and stick both these in. Give them some heat. It doesn't take long in this electric blower, man. I wasn't used to it going from the hand crank to the electric, and it is ridiculously fast. Which is why I had to go ahead and put an air gate on it, otherwise I'd have burned up all my fuel in half an hour. I'll go through a couple gallons, and that's just ridiculous. It's either that or having to turn the fan back on and off every time. It takes Anytime my fan's over 100 years old, I'd rather not do that. Just that short time, the heat's there and ready for cold. Just going to taper these out. Nothing too particular. Just a little decorative curl. That's all we need there. Nothing much to it. We put one this direction, flip it around, heat it back up, put one the other direction. So when I'm working on these in a large batch, I try to assembly line it as best I can. Do all one side, then all the other. For me, it seems like it's the best way to learn through repetition the hammer control you need for certain jobs. I know I did it that way in horseshoeing school. I had to punch the nail holes and needed to learn that talent. Punch about 1,000 nail holes. Try to do as many as you can all at once. That way your brain's mapping the movements of your hand and arm and stance and everything else. I'm a little hunched over here. I haven't got my final height on my anvil. But any chance you get to repeatedly work on the same thing, it's much better for your brain and body to kind of sync up and learn that hand-eye coordination for what you're trying to work on. That way you're not making one whole piece and starting over making one whole piece, because if you're not quite getting it in one step, you have to wait through all the other steps to get back to that first one you screwed up on a little bit. Make sure I'm facing the right direction for this curl. When I come back around at the end like that, I'm just trying to flush everything out to the same dimension, keep everything the same. So now we're good. Put it back in, heat up one whole half of the section. While we finish this one up, you want to always have them turn out, you know, perfect every time, and just get them as close as you can get. They don't serve a whole lot of purpose, just a little bit of show and flair. And mostly the reason I had these, other than holding on to this turn of the grip, is so they don't have to grind off rough edges where I've either cut or sheared off the piece. Because you can make just S-hooks without any kind of flair like this on them. That'll save you a little bit of time, but this adds a little bit of look, as well as keeps a nice clean edge that people won't, you know, cut, scrape, whatever. Alright, we're long enough on this side. I'm going to move the camera on up, get you a better angle of this. Just a quick turn on the jig. Nothing too special. Hopefully I won't yell so much this time. Hopefully my fans aren't too loud for you to hear me. I'll keep the hammers out because when I turn I have a tendency to lift or dip, so they'll kind of get out of whack, and I'll show you what I mean. Nice tight grip. My camera's in my way. And the other reason I have this other section here is that I can drop down and kind of keep a consistent radius for each one of these that I do. Now I'll put it back in, heat the other side, flip it, and do it again. What I want to try to look at is make sure I don't go too far out one direction or the other, and I'll correct it if I need to. Step the camera back just a bit so it's out of my way this time. Next piece is nice and hot just by having the fire up there. I don't even have my fan going, or the air gate open at least. And sometimes it'll slip a little bit and I'll come back and re-grab if I need to. Go back, make sure I fit up against this other piece. So now I'm even with the first one I just made. A little out of whack this way. A couple quick taps. That'll fix that, as well as open up the radius just a little bit, but that's okay. The key is to try to make sure you don't get that counter loop. That first loop we put on, we don't want to get that too hot, or it'll unwind as we put all that pressure on there, pulling it around. So if we get it too hot, dip that first curl in the water so it doesn't uncurl on you and extend your stock too much. Just take it, quench off the tip. I'll re-grab here. I can just kind of eyeball how close I am on those, and that looks pretty good. I've come just slightly out this way. Pretty close. I'm happy with that. It's an S-hook. It doesn't have to be, a work of art. There we are. See how close we came on matching them both up? I was talking around my mouth. This one got a little hotter than I wanted. That's okay. Quick dip in the water. Pretty straight on that one. A couple taps, just get the scale off. Pretty good. Uniformity really makes your product stand out. If I had a bunch of different size hooks and everything else, you'd kind of notice. So as you can see, one of these is opened up just a little bit more than the other, but that's okay. That's pretty close for a production type product. It all does is barrel of monkeys and hold whatever you need. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer it is, the prettier your product looks. It's a good thing. Anyway, I'm probably going to turn out some round ones here in a minute. This jig will still work for that. But if you have any more questions or anything else you'd like to see something demoed, just let me know. I appreciate it, guys, as always. I'll try to do some more videos. I'm just now kind of getting back to work with the shop being rebuilt, the new house, and have a 3-week-old. So things are coming back together, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.